and welcome back to Chiropterra. In the last episode, we were brought back in time and made it back to where we were meant to be. We have once again supported the Lunar Empire in getting itself to its goals, and we have once again been given a mission that must be done. And we will once again open our markets, just like we did the first time around. Bring yourself back to where we're meant to be. And once again, to free trade. And once again, let me wait for a moment and see what I can actually get. And now we are back to where we were. Okay, this gets rid of the Native Affairs Council, this one. Okay. What I'm gonna do is get this. Yep. There it is. The One Generation Law. At the behest of our Empress, we shall make more efforts to expedite the integration of natives into our state. Our new laws shall be this. The children of non-citizens born in Chiropterra shall become citizens if they can prove that they are sufficiently loyal to the Nightmare. Woo! That's right. You can be a part of greatness. Why can't I do stuff? Why can't I do this? One of the following must be true. Chiroptera is AI. Oh, okay. Well, it works now, so sure. I think this will be our last raid, though, as we must follow the commands. Yep. And next, we must end the Native Affairs Commission. The time has come to disband the NAC. For centuries, it has gifted us with ample laborers for the development projects, and after time, new converts to the faith and proud citizens. But the Empress has decreed it shall come to an end, and so it shall. But we shall be eternally thankful for all its officials, and especially its head, Eternal Eclipse. Woo! Project Nocturne has finally had a breakthrough after what felt like eternity of searching for a viable candidate. Oh, no, I've read this one. Yeah, I've read that one. Alright. The servant rests. Lucent Eclipse looked around him at the boxes, his grandfather's entire life, all that he had achieved and all that he had done for the Legion, and the NAC all packed neatly up in into 17 brown boxes that now filled his grandfather's former office. Behind him, Eternal entered, carrying a clipboard. He circled around, examining everything thoroughly. "That all, Grandpa?" Lucent asked. "I can't see anything else." Eternal looked over the clipboard, squinted, and replied, "I think it is, Lucent. We can start getting this all to the truck." Lucent smiled as he watched his grandfather go over to one of the boxes. This is the Thrushfield he admired all these years. Diligent, pragmatic, and a public servant to rival the founders of his Ursa Legion. But now he's out of one of his jobs. The NAC was being abolished, and they were clearing out the building. Lucent thought he had heard of it being made into a new temple. Not like the new Ayati needed any more of those. Ugh. The grunt came low and guttural as Lucent looked over to see his grandfather clutching his flank. Lucent ran to him and asked, "What's wrong?" Eternal waved his grandson away. "It's nothing. Just some wear on the old bones and muscles and, well, everything." He let out a hearty chuckle. But Lucent didn't laugh back. "Grandpa," he said, "have you ever thought about taking a break from work?" Eternal stopped. "Lucent, this has been my life for years and years. I don't know if I'd be able to do anything else." He pulled over a chair and sat down. "I mean, I can't say I haven't considered it, but what else would I do?" "Whatever you wanted to," Lucent exclaimed. "You've done more than anyone, any citizen in this nation, to help our goddess return. I'd say even more than old Breeze, even." Eternal waved his hoof dismissively at this. "It's true," Lucent continued. "I think you really do deserve a break, for however long you need." Eternal paused and thought. Lucent stood still as his grandfather pondered his word. Eternal then stood up, walked over to Lucent, placed a hoof on his shoulder and said, "All right, but I'm not doing this halfway then. I'm retiring. You'll lead the nation. Or the Legion, not the nation. Legion. Lucent stood shocked. "Retire? Really? I mean, if it is what you want, sure, but wow, I don't know if I'm ready." Eternal chuckled. "You said it yourself. I need a break. And also, I know you'll do great, Lucent. I have full trust in you." The two embraced and smiled at one another before Eternal began again. "Now come on, let's get all this stuff out of here, and maybe you can lift the boxes this time. I'm sure he'll find something to do." Okay. So, the extreme people on the council are starting to leave. For the younger generation to take over. Interesting. Well, at least for now, I'm just keeping my Emerald Light. Research speed is nice, you know? Now let's get that extra pony power! For most of our history, small brotherhoods of legionnaires have existed, promoting military service and even charity in some cases. In the past, we often believed these to be breeding grounds for heresy and subversion, but now that the Empress has returned, we can begin to support these organizations without fear, boosting their message of service and loyalty. The Endless Moon Celebration, following the violent takeover that was needed and necessary by Nightmare Moon and her Thrushfield allies. She was quick to eliminate dissent and establish her own traditions, centered around celebrating the night, bat ponies, and new rule. The apex of these is the Endless Moon Celebration, commemorating the longest night of the year and her victory over her now banished sister. Held in Caterlot, the event has attracted the Empress's zealous followers and soldiers, with some ponies being press-ganged into attending. Usurping her sister's ceremonial days, the Empress did not appear to be bothered by the frigid cold, which couldn't be said for the crowd. She went on to deliver a passionate speech about the new authority in Equestria, in which the knight will never again be ignored and put aside. Despite the dour tone of the celebration, Nightmare Moon did not fail to showcase the grandeur of the night, the ponies being inspired by the glory of the moon and stars. The winter feels colder. Good. Very good. Implementations of benefits allow us to push the locals to embrace our fate at a quicker pace. We are with the nightmare's return. Chiropterra now stands by the Emperor's side as her most faithful servants. Her enemies are our enemies, and the Legion shall fall upon them without mercy. And we're still the invisible state. Oh, let me do stuff. There we go. That's good. Alright, next I want to compromise. Oh, I'm aware that the Nightmare has spoken on the subject, and I'm ready to follow her commands, Emerald Light stated. Yet, allow me to remind you that the role of the LMRD played in the technological progress of Chiroptera so far. If we are not careful, progress in countless fields will be jeopardized, pushed back for years even. The security of our own institutions will be at peril. A bit dramatic, perhaps, Eternal Eclipse replied with a soft chuckle. He shot a brief glance at the utter confusion within her office. Papers and charts laid about, seemingly in the process of being packed into various containers. I see you've taken the Empress's words to the letter, he noted quietly, in which Emerald Light nodded. I'm not a sentimental mare, Eclipse, but I too have to admit that seeing the work of a lifetime being discarded is, well, not pleasant, to put it mildly. Eternal Eclipse nodded. Understandable. Still, I might be able to alleviate some of your troubles on the matter. Emerald Light raised an eyebrow, but stayed silent. I've drafted a proposal to present to the council next week. It will allow the LMRD to continue its precious work, under some specific conditions, of course. He placed a dossier on the desk before her. Mind you, that means that the LMRD will have to show at least a minimum of ethics in the field of research, and that is not negotiable. Emerald Light frowned deeply, before eventually shaking her head in defeat. Ah well, sacrifices must be made, I suppose. Very well. Commander Eclipse, I will support your proposal before the council. Now, if you don't mind, I have to empty those boxes and see which parts of my work can be salvaged. Glad we could come to an agreement. Believing his focus will unlock decisions which will allow to directly acquire test subjects. Yes. I'm not even 100% sure what it means by directly, but I will do it. We cannot deny the great and countless contributions done by the LMRD to our cause. Yet, the Nightmare has spoken. Some of its most radical projects will have to be suppressed, though surely there's still much of the organization as a whole can offer, away from prying eyes. A meeting with their representatives is in order. Yes, of course. The darkness, the stallion spat blood on the ground. You damn fool! You were making a mistake. He was sickly silenced as a nearby legionnaire brought the butt of the rifle on his muzzle. For her part, Emerald Light seemed only mildly interested in him, shooting a curious glance. On the contrary, it makes perfect sense, she corrected him. I required test subjects. You believed that you could extort a higher price for that reason, and I, consequently, determined that the expenditure of ammunition for killing your guards would be far more acceptable. As you can see, it is quite rational. She turned away and walked off without a second thought, leaving the slander to his fate. The slaves had been freed from their shackles and now awaited their fate, some distance away, most shaking under the unflinching and cold gaze of the legionnaires. Emerald Light sighed to herself. The Empress had spoken. If the LMRD had to change its methods, then so be it. Luckily, there were more than one way to obtain test subjects, but first she had to determine the efficiency of the new method by herself. Every pony, please, may I have your attention. Thank you. I've come to announce you that I and your former masters have reached an agreement. The slaver's blood-curdling scream came from somewhere behind, but she ignored it. She lifted a bundle of papers with her magic so that all could see it. I therefore offer to you all a contract in the employment of the LMRD, the organization that I represent. I can assure you that such employment will bring several benefits to both you and your families, as well as honor of serving a cause far greater than your mere mortal lives. All the details are included in the contract before you. Are there any question? Evil, in its most benign form. Yeah, seriously, like, wow. Well, I'm getting test subjects, that's all that matters. Who cares where I'm getting them? Right, Emerald Light? Yep. Now, I need to prepare for a war somewhat soon. Parallel power structure. For every province within our nation, there shall be 2 officials in charge. Okay. A civilian leader responsible for civilian matters, and a legionary officer accountable for the area's defense and managing of legionary personnel in the area. This shall hopefully make our land both stable and defensible. Genius. Now let me grab you. Okay. Oh yeah, I have way more. Yeah, because honestly, even if I did this, it probably wouldn't. So I'm just gonna leave that how it is and be happy that I have way more that I really should have and just move along on that one. And you can keep your thing. Oh. Manipulation of genetic material for the purpose of creating an all-around superior soldier. Yep. Yeah, I need to upgrade to Soldiers of the Night like I did before. Those who speak for the nightmare. One of the Emperor's more interesting directives was that the office of Chief's Moonspeaker should become a civilian post. Lunar Hale, the current holder of the position, has agreed to this, but has become conflicted over how to carry it out. She presents the council with 2 options he is content with. She shall either retire as Legion Commander or as Chief Moonspeaker. So she'll retire from one or the other, but not both, basically. That's her thing. I would love to, but I need to worry about getting this up first. No, I have to do it. No. Yep, gotta do it. Just gotta. Sometimes you just gotta do it. And that's as simple as it is. They who serve the nightmare. 5 members of the Legionary Council sat around their table, awaiting their command's arrival. They knew what she must be going through right now. The Emperor's directive must force her to resign either her post as Legion Commander or Chief Moonspeaker, as the Empress wanted a civilian priest to guide Chiropterra faith. Lunar Hail entered flanked by 2 other ponies. The Lady Commander took her seat, and her entourage pulled up chairs behind her. "Hello everyone," Lunar Hail began. "Thank you all for being here to discuss my replacement. As while it saddens me deeply, the Empress's word is clear. I must surrender one of my posts, and so while I do this, I hope you would consider my preferred successors." Gesturing to her left, she said, "For Lord Commander, I nominate Brigadier General Leaf Lehigh. He is a close friend of mine and would lead well in my stead." Then to my right, "For Chief Moonspeaker, this is Falling Star, as an acolyte of mine who has recently returned from Equestria and received a theological guidance from the Empress herself." Lunar Hill took a breath. "But I leave it up to you, my brothers and sisters, which post I am to leave, for I have been unable to decide myself." Each legionary commander weighed their options and began to discuss the debate with one another. On one side, Commander Emerald Light has been a close friend of Lunar Hail for years and wishes her to remain on the council so that they can keep their friendship healthy. Commander Lucin Eclipse, on the other hook, knows Falling Star and knows her religious beliefs are far more moderate than the dogmatic Lunar Hail, so he as well wishes to keep Hail on the council. Okay. No, and knows her beliefs are far more moderate than the dogmatic Lunar Hail. Okay, opposing them is Commander Lightning Charm. She knows Lee Hay as well and respects him as a military commander far more than Lunar Hail, who leads with fervor, not discipline. Then Commander Auburn Leaf, who knows Falling Stars well as Lucid, but knows her gods will be benefited by Lunar's brand of faith being the guiding force of the nation. The only commander without an opinion seems to be Stone Palisade, and as he listens to the arguments and 2 commanders seem to plan to vote on each side, he considers his options. As the debate starts to seem endless, he raps his hoof on the table for silence, opens his mouth and says, "I can either you belong amongst your comrades, Comrade Hale, which will give me 10 non-aligned and 100 political power, or welcome to the council, Commander Lehigh, which gives 10 stability, 10 war support, 10% supremacy, and then Leaf Lehigh becomes a member of the supremacy and non-aligned, and they get. I'm gonna go for this. Let's see what it's like to be a bit more of a non-aligned. Plus, that deals with the rest of the political power I need, which is also kind of nice. Let's get down to that research slot. That just sounds useful. As we begin strengthening our industrial sector, it is fundamental to concentrate our resources where they'll yield the most results. The projects and blueprints piling on our desk might be limitless, but our resources are not. We must choose wisely what to prioritize. That's the person I might do multiplayer with at some point. By the way, I know this is randomly like a good portion through the video, but I might do some multiplayer on this mod or another mod. And if we do it on this mod, I was wondering, what's some good options you guys know of 2 nations that work together for fun multiplayer? If you can think of any cool ones, put it in the comments below. I might put out a video asking like cool nations to try out. Emerald Light. If we do a different one, it'll be the Fallout mod. That's one of his favorites, and it honestly like the only other one that even has any story beats that can be used. So that too. Emerald Light's progress report. Project Noctil 2. I've personally seen 2nd stage Comet Flash's testing. Compared to all other ongoing projects, I am optimistic. Continued injections must be administered over the next several weeks, but on the most basic level, the subject's DNA is reacting astonishingly well to the treatment. There has been no physical breakdown, only increased muscular hypertrophy and bone density to accommodate for its increasing size. While Comet Flash once stood nearly a head taller than I, it is projected he will be twice my height by the time his regimen is completed. He has exceeded each athletic test and physical feat the team has placed before him. We have managed to avoid sedation by allowing plenty of rest, relaxation, and increased rations for him. He said rather simply, treat him right, get treated right. Simplicity is a characteristic that I admire in Comet. His simplicity is also constant. The stallion was not bright before the injection, as he not displayed any increased intelligence after them. Thankfully, there has been no visible mental degradation either. One of the researchers, however, came to me with a theory that after we finished testing the subject today. According to her, we are witnessing mental stagnation rather than degradation. As the subject's size increases and his brain warps subtly to respond to these changes, his already lacking mental capacity is capping off. We will observe the subject closer for the time being to see if these theories hold water. I do not need a super soldier to be super smart. Okay. Woo. The military-industrial complex, the industry required to sustain our massive military buildup, can only be met by government subsidies in industry itself. To keep our military top of the line, we embrace this unique balance between industry, research, and government against the critics who warn of trying our commercial assets even deeper with our military forces. With this change, we will be able to research more and choose which projects best suit our forces. Oh, what? Someone's trying to attack me. Oh. The Buffalo Chieftain? The Buffalo Chieftain. You're gonna go fight the Lunar Empire? You're gonna go do that? The Buffalo Chieftain? Our glorious Nightmare Moon will obliterate you. You will fall before her easily. I am not even worried. As our strength and power is so much that there is no need to. Oh, another research slot. Jeez, the amount of research slots, though. I guess I'll go ahead and start heading down here. Modernize the hoof. The Nightmare's hoof has been instrumental in returning the Empress to her rightful place, but now its purpose is outdated. It is time to reform it to our new aims while building on its tradition of espionage and subversion. None shall stop the Nightmare's most secretive. Yes, yes, of course. I'd love to be able to do that. No, okay. That's what I expected. I must prepare. I don't know why I don't know why that one still shows as even an option when all of them are. There's no traitors. Traitors don't exist in our nations. Besides, maybe one of each type of traitor, since they do have names. That's as far as it goes. Following our victory, a new movement seems to be taking root within Chiropterran society. It represents spout about a rejection of modern society as deviancy from the will of the nightmare, and an immediate return to the ancient forming tradition as rejuvenation of faith and moral fiber through hard work, eccentric perhaps, though there is certainly something to gain in indulging them. Yes, of course. Good. We need more test subjects. Do the ethical question, operation. Okay, so they haven't changed that description. I was curious if that description changed after we could no longer do all of the same things. Blood and soil. Opal Sky wiped away the sweat from his forehead. Despite his fatigue after a long day at work, the Pegasus couldn't help himself from smiling. The new home for his family was coming out just fine, especially with a bit of help from his soon-to-be neighbors. Just like them, they had abandoned the hustle of the big city for a quieter life, one closer to the ancient teachings of the nightmare. His parents not agree with the choice, but Opal was determined. "Opal, dinner's ready, honey," his wife Cream called out to him from her place near the fireplace, as she gave the stew in the pot one final stir. As he trotted over to her, Opal gave her a tender kiss as he enveloped her in an embrace from behind. He could feel his heart warming in pride each time his eyes fell on her. He would never forget the day they had met, and his life had changed. "You shouldn't exercise yourself too much," Opal noted, nuzzling her. "For the sake of both, I mean." She rolled her eyes at that, though she caressed instinctively her own belly. "You're again worrying too much, and I'm the one carrying him." Fair point. I guess being a moon speaker involves a lot of worrying, especially for a little blessing from the nightmare here. He kissed her again, despite her playful attempts to wriggle out of his leg. "Alright, fine." "I get it. I'll be careful. Now, why don't you let me go before dinner gets cold? A new beginning." Yay! Alright. And that'll be the end of this episode. In the next episode, our conquests may just begin. If you enjoyed this episode, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button. And as always, peace.